Hey, I'm Paul, and this is David. Wait,
No.
no. I'm David, and this is Paul. And we don't always wear the same shirt, but when we do, we're making a video.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about how to do gospel appointments. So, Paul, how do you do gospel appointments?
Okay, really there's two settings in gospel appointments. One is for a spiritually neutral setting. Maybe that's a party, maybe that's in class, maybe that's working out. And your goal is to lead a conversation towards a spiritual topic. And I love the acrostic FIRE. Find common ground, interests, relationships, and experience with spiritual things. And you're kind of moving the conversation towards anything related to the gospel or even just a spiritual topic at all.
So once you have the spiritual topic up, how do you actually get the gospel appointment? It could seem like maybe it would be kind of an awkward transition. So how do you actually ask the question to get the gospel appointment?
Yeah, sometimes it's okay to be a little awkward because, awkward conversations change lives. And so it's okay sometimes to be awkward.
Kind of like this video.
Yes, kind of like this video. Two twins being weird. Okay, but I do think there's some great questions like, have you ever had any experience with spiritual things? That's a great open-ended question you can ask anyone. So when you get to the E stands for experience with spiritual things. And you can just listen. Oh, that's interesting. That phrase is always true, whether or not it's good or not. It's not always good, but it's always interesting. Hey, that's interesting. I've been learning a lot of really cool things about having a relationship with God. Maybe we can grab lunch or coffee sometime, and I could tell you, we could talk more about that. How does that sound?
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so you're saying, I've been learning a lot of really interesting things about having a relationship with God.
That's cool.
And then you pitch the meeting. So that's one setting.
All right. And then what would be like the other setting that you could get a gospel appointment from?
The other one would be any of your college ministry related events. So whether that's a social or a large group, you don't need to really transition because it's already set a spiritual setting. And so you just jump in and say, hey, man, I like your hat, okay? Or whatever, you're not wearing a hat.
Yeah.
But it'd be great to get to know you better and tell you more about what our group is all about. You want to grab lunch or coffee sometime?
Yeah, I really like that, just saying more about what our group is all about. Because if you think about it, if we're in ministry, our group is all about the gospel.
Yep.
And so I think that's just a really good leading question that our ministry is used as well.
At San Diego State, yeah.
So what are some tips? Like, if you've asked the question, what do you do if they say yes?
Well, most people say yes,
Okay.
because they're already at your club, they're already interested, and college ministry is a recruitment culture. So it really is, it's a very welcoming thing. People want to know, I want a personal touch. And so I find that most people say yes. And so if they say yes, you just say, great, what would be a good time for you? I love to nail down the time and the place on the spot. So I just say, hey, okay, how about tomorrow in the Union at 2 o'clock? Are you free at 2? What time are you free tomorrow?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, yeah, great. What's your number? Let me make sure I get your number.
All right, I'm not going to put my number on the video.
Okay, no numbers. You sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's okay.
Okay, and so then you just get their number and make sure to set that up. And then voila, you have a gospel appointment. And we always post we have a Facebook group for our student leaders and core team. We call it core team. And we always post, hey, tomorrow at 12, I have a meeting with John. Let's all pray. And so everyone's got the prayer hand emojis. And they're all
100.
praying. We're keeping it 100 and stuff. So, but it's cool because we're on a team. And there's about 35 now on the team where we're all praying for these gospel conversations that are happening. And sharing on a Facebook group is a really good way to do that.
Yeah, our group just recently started to do that. It's called Group Me, but it's basically a group text. And it's the same thing when one person has a gospel appointment and then everyone else gets excited, and it just creates this kind of like snowball effect of evangelistic momentum. So that's like really exciting to get kind of more people excited about doing gospel appointments. And it becomes almost like people are like addicted to seeing people's lives change, and that's where it gets exciting.
That's right.
So next question is, so once you're at the meeting, what do you do when you're sitting in front of someone, you have your coffee, you're ready to have the meeting? What do you do?
Well, you start out just getting to know them better, making small talk, and it's really natural because they already know you're going to talk about something substantial because we're going to talk about what's the most important thing about our group, or if it was a spiritual conversation that you let in, they know you're going to get to that. So take some time to get to know them, make small talk, and then pretty quickly jump into the 3-story outline: their story, your story, and God's story. So a question I love is, man, one of the reasons I wanted to meet with you was to get to know you better and hear more of your spiritual background. Like, tell me more about your story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question.
And you just listen, and you just take it in, and maybe add a few questions like to kind of help them bring out the rest of their story. But some people in that moment don't love to be grilled. They don't want to. You don't want to feel like an interrogation. So give them a chance to share their story as much as they feel comfortable, but don't like try to pry it out of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but on the other hand, you don't want it to be so one-sided that they feel like they're a project. You want them to be heard. They feel like they're a person.
Yeah.
And the old phrase, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And by listening to their story with God, that actually allows people to feel loved.
That's right.
And so I think that's good. And so you hear their story, and then how do you transition to the gospel?
Well, then it's your story. So we have like a 1 minute, even 30-second testimony that we have all of our student leaders prepare. And it's super unrehearsed and unprepared because it comes off a lot more natural that way. It's just, your before and after as it relates to Christ. And then it's a seamless transition from that to our gospel presentation. So I share my story and I say, yeah, and part of our ministry is we have these Bible lessons, and I have one with me. You mind if I show it to you? And as I'm saying that, I'm actually leaning in to pull it out of my backpack.
Yeah.
And I've done probably hundreds of these, and I've never had anyone say no to hearing the gospel presentation. Once I'm there, once I'm sharing in the moment, trying to share, people are like, yeah, sure, show me what you got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the cool thing about gospel appointments is that you can use it with any gospel presentation. So if you like the bridge illustration, the 3 circles, if there's another way that you like to do using Romans or the Old Testament, if you like to go through Leviticus verse by verse, whatever you want to do. I'm just kidding. And whatever type of evangelistic presentation that you want to do, you can do it at a gospel appointment. So I think that's one of the cool things is that any ministry can use the gospel appointment. So you share the gospel, whatever way you're going to share the gospel, and then kind of when it gets to that point where they're going to receive Christ or not, what do you do then?
We really have a really cool illustration we use called the pie illustration, which emphasizes lordship and talks about how Jesus is not a slice of your pie. He's the center. He's the cream filling. He's like the whole thing. And then it's really important to ask, is this something you would like to do? Would you like to make Jesus, ask him to forgive you of your sins and make him the Lord of your life, where he rules, he guides, he directs your life? Is that something you would like?
Mm-hmm. And then you let them like sit, right? You don't just like answer for them or like interrupt the awkward silence. You let it sit, and I think that's the point where it's a powerful moment where it seems like it's awkward, but the reality is there's like a battle going on in heaven, and so we need to give them that opportunity. And so
there's no better moment for the Holy Spirit to convict and to draw someone. And it's amazing to see as you ask the golden question, is what Steve Shadrach calls it, is asking, would you like to commit your life to Christ right now? And you zip the lip, you wait, and you trust God to do his. You do your part, and you trust God to do his part. So it's been incredible to sit. I mean, a lot of us know there's no better feeling than when you get to sit across the table from someone and get to see them cross from death to life.
Yeah, and I know for me, I've just seen over and over again, this is the best way to actually push people across that line. Not push them, but invite them to do that, because a lot of people, they're just waiting for someone to invite them to do it. Maybe they've been around your ministry a long time and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to receive Christ. And so I believe that there's so many people out there that this one-on-one meeting is I think the best way to get them to kind of step across the line. Yep. So you share the gospel with them, and what if they say no?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question, because it happens. It happens a lot. And it's totally okay in that moment. Like, you're not a failure if the person says no. We actually have a lot of people that we share the gospel with really soon in the relationship with them, and they're just not ready yet. Maybe this is the first time they ever heard the gospel. Maybe they're processing a lordship decision, whether they're going to give something up or not. And so what I don't do is I don't pressure the person, or try to trick them into praying a prayer or something like that. The goal is really to build the relationship at that point. And then, Lord willing, you're kind of continuing to lead them. So a lot of times I offer Gospel of John. So would you like to keep meeting? And we could read the Gospel of John. It's a book written by Jesus' best friend.
Yeah.
And maybe we could keep meeting one-on-one and keep coming around to our group and checking out all of our events and stuff. I'd love to keep hanging out with you. So you don't burn the bridge or make them feel like the whole goal of the meeting is to welcome them in.
Yeah, that's good. Because I think it's a win no matter what. If they receive Christ, obviously that's a win. And, we've seen so many people actually say yes in that meeting.
Yes.
But then if they don't, at least you're connecting with them as a real person to person. And I think that's such a win because they get connected with the group and then they can really grow so much. And so what would be some final thoughts for campus ministers or student leaders who are thinking about implementing this into their ministry?
Yeah, I'd say that this could be something that you do with everyone. In our ministry, everyone that comes to a large group, a small group, or even a social event, we have a team of 30 student leaders that are equipped and ready and looking for new people. And when in doubt, we share the gospel. When in doubt, we set up a gospel appointment with them. And so we end up seeing hundreds of people hear the gospel in a face-to-face manner over the course of a year. And I believe that the more people you share the gospel with, the more people you're going to lead to Christ. And so you want to create a culture in your ministry of evangelistic urgency where we just don't know any better than to share Christ. So we have new believers that have been believers like a couple months, and they're already, because of our culture we've created, they're already sharing the gospel. They're already leading people to Christ.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then one more thing is, like, in training, it's monkey see, monkey do. Okay. And so you bring someone with you. We have a motto with our staff and higher leaders is never share the gospel alone. So if you have a gospel appointment, bring a freshman, bring someone that's wanting to learn how to share their faith, and let them play wingman. Let them watch you do the gospel appointment, and they'll want to do it right after on their own after that. It's like once you see the life change in someone's life, it's an addiction.
Yeah, and I think it's just exciting to me to think about what if every campus had a ministry that was intentionally trying to do these gospel appointments. I think the impact could be so huge, and so I'm really excited about it personally. And I think that if you guys try it, you're gonna see just the lives that are being changed. And it's gonna be awesome. And check out Paul on Twitter. And then also check out his resources. And I also have it, and it's David Worcester and Paul Worcester on Twitter. And you can learn just different things from him, and you can learn how to be a twin and stuff like that. And so we would love to connect with you guys, answer any questions that you have.
Yep. Go get them.